we be fly as fuck, you know them bitches be stalking my niggas. That shit'll never change, and it's the same with all my niggas. City to city, I should be at home, that's what my ribs say. But bitch, I'm grown, I'm in these streets and closed caption. Niggas know we bout that action. If a nigga play with me, then my hockin' gon' let him have it. Hey, think you the shit, this truth the shit. Nigga play, I let that Ruger hit. Get on them tracks, they be like, who is this? I'm rude with it, ain't got no manners. All them pussy niggas talk the shit, yeah, I know they can't stand us, but we UPK Louisiana, bitch, that's what I'm reppin'. And my niggas solid number, real ones in my section. If you wanna get down, put your boots on, start stepping. Brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. Brotherhood is a weapon. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood is a weapon. If I die for my niggas, it'll be an honor and a blessing. Better watch how you steppin', cause brotherhood. I lay my life down right now for all my sisters and brothers, because I love them. I see them dapping, man, hug them. It's amazing to see how well we adapt from the struggle.
All right, Mike, good, Mike, left. Bear with me 1 second. I just want to make sure. All right, we all good. Huh? Oh, go on. All right, Shalom, Yahweh, Bashim, Yahshua, Barathon, brother, Shalom, Yahweh, Shemar, Bashim, Yahshua, Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge started at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. The Friday night Lashawan Qadash, let's go ahead and clap it up. Right. We've been teaching the truth since 1969 to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We've been teaching our culture to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and the truth according to the Bible since 1969. You know what I'm saying? We've been so we're gonna get into the today's the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class, where we get into the scriptures and break down the Bible from a linguistic perspective so that we can learn our language. You know what I'm saying? The whole point of the ISUPK and what we've been doing since 1969 is to teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans their culture that was stolen from them. You know what I'm saying? We've been teaching since 1969, and learning your language is a huge part of learning your culture. So that's why we do this every Friday. You know what I'm saying? So with that, if you got any Lashawan Qadash related questions on the Hebrew language, you know what I'm saying, put it in chat. You can raise your hand. We'll address it tonight. You know what I'm saying? That's what tonight's for, to get these questions answered. So if you got any questions or comments, you know what I'm saying, feel free to participate. Make sure you got your learning utensils and your notes. You know what I'm saying? Notes, pen and paper. We're gonna pick up from where we left off last week. Make sure you got your notes and your learning utensils so we could pick up. All right. We last week we was going over how to state your registry. You know what I'm saying? How to report. You know what I'm saying? In various instances, right? So we got you know what I'm saying? We report during Wednesday council or major council. You know what I'm saying? We check in for classes. We stay our registry for Saturday Sabbath service. You know what I mean? So we gonna learn how to do all of those things that we do normally. We're gonna learn how to do it in English, or not slacking. We're gonna do all the things that we do normally in English. We're gonna learn how to do it in the Lashawan Qadash, in our language, the language that the Most High gave us to speak. All right. So we're gonna pick up off that. But before that, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna start off like we always do with the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. This part is very imperative for you to, you know what I'm saying, pay attention, look over your notes, make sure you got your learning utensils. So if you're not fluent in reciting the Lashawan Qadash alphabet from A to Tha, then you can look at your notes and follow along and practice. You know what I'm saying? Stumble a little bit. Like if you're reading along and you read it, you know what I'm saying, you're reading along with the guide sheet with the chart. You know what I'm saying? You might stumble across the character that you don't remember, you know what I'm saying, how to pronounce, or you don't know how to pronounce it properly, right? Like that ha, right? Or, you know what I'm saying, just an example. Or, you know what I'm saying? You might stumble on a character that you didn't know is, you know what I'm saying, is a stumbling block for you. But if you don't practice, you're just not going to know. So, you know what I'm saying, as we go over this, I highly recommend brothers and sisters do that so that we can all be on the same page and at least be able to say the Lashawan Qadash alphabet from A to Tha, all right? So we got A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za. Oh. Might have just disconnected from the HDMI. Might. Are we still good? Lock it for that. All right. Well, we got A, Ba, Ga, Da, Ha, Wa, Za, Ka, Ta, Ya, Ka, La, Ma, Na, Sa, I, Pa, Kaza, Kwa, Ra, Sha, Tha. All right. At this point, you should be very comfortable doing that from A to Tha. You know what I'm saying? If not, you know what I'm saying, just put that diligence in. All right. You know what I'm saying? Strive for mastery, like the scriptures say, so that we can compound on our knowledge. But 1 second. Also, you know what I'm saying, if you got any questions, you know what I'm saying, again, put it in the chat. If you're having a hard time seeing anything on the board as we going through the lesson tonight, you know what I'm saying, do good to communicate. Put it in the chat or raise your hand. Just, you know what I'm saying, speak up. All right. All right. So with that, we're gonna pick up where we left off, right? So we know the salute. For, you know what I'm saying, brothers, Yahaba Shem Yahshua Brakathum. It's like your Shalom, Yahaba Shem Yahshua Brakathum, or a Tha, depending on if you're talking to a singular or plural, you know what I'm saying, a singular or plural audience. Or if you, we know the salute for the sisters is Shalom Yahweh Shemar Alathan or Alatha by Shem Yahweh, right? And then you check in for class, for example, you check in priest and officer such and such, checking in from, you know what I'm saying, your city, state, or zone, right? Or if you're a sister, you say sister such and such, checking in, reporting in from city, state, and zone. Or you sister such and such, if you got a husband, you'll say uh possession of, wife of, you know what I'm saying? You'll acknowledge your husband also of such priest and officer such and such from city, state, and zone. Right? So all of these things that you find, all these things that you find in the salute or in the check-in when you state your registry, you can find it in the scriptures. So we went to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15 last week, and you know what I'm saying, we broke that down in the Lashawan Qadash. Let me see if we finished it. All right. Let me see. Okay. All right. So I think we finished it last week. I think we left off after doing the full breakdown in the Lashawan Qadash. So we went line by line. You Salaki, you watching it online? Or you I just want to make sure it's not cutting off online. All right, we should be Tawab. Should be Tawab. Wow. Is it plugged in all the way on the TV? Yeah, I can see and hear it, so it ain't cut off online, but yeah, we talk about. I think it might be just be Luke's over there. Oh, it's plugged in. All right, no sweat. All right, no sweat. You know, Laura willing to come back. Maybe it's on mine. No sweat. All right. Well, we went over Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15. You know what I'm saying? Because in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15, it has all these words that you're gonna need, or it has most of the words you're gonna need to check in, right? So we got Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15. So I took the chief of your tribes, wise men and known, and made them heads over you, captains over thousands, captains over hundreds, and captains over fifties, and captains over tens, and officers among your tribes. All right. So we got captains, we got officers, you know what I'm saying? We got officers of 50s, we got officers of over hundreds, which would be 500 and thousands, right? We got captains over thousands, which would be 5,000s, or captains of 10,000, captains of 13,000, right? So these are all things, you know what I'm saying? If you're going to be checking in for class, you're going to check in as precinct officer such and such, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's 50, 500,000, you're going to check in as that. And, right, so you're going to be using words out of this chapter. So that's why we broke it down last week. You know what I'm saying? If you missed it, I highly advise you go back and watch over that class. It shouldn't be too long, but wouldn't hurt to just go back and look at it so that you can, you know what I'm saying, be up to speed, right? But lucky. Yeah, so we got all right, so we got a couple things. So we just gonna apply what we learned from Deuteronomy, from the breakdown of Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15, and apply it in, you know what I'm saying, our day-to-day usage. Because that's the whole point of coming to class, right? It's the whole point of having class. Just like we do Tuesday brotherhood class every Tuesday, right? We do it because, you know what I'm saying, so that we can apply brotherhood in our real life. You know what I'm saying? Law class, so that we can apply law, you know what I'm saying, the law in our real lives, right? Scripture breakdown, so that we can apply these scriptures and the spirit behind these scriptures in our real lives. That's the whole point. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the Christian church where we get in here, sing and dance and beat a tambourine, and then we go home and be sexual deviants and whores and whoremongers and drug addicts and drug dealers and all these different things. Now we have these classes so that we can take it home and apply it in life, right? So same with the Lashawan Qadash every Friday, so that we can take what we learn in Lashawan Qadash class and apply it in our lives, right? Eventually, we ain't even gonna be speaking English. We just eventually, you know what I'm saying, Lord, we're just gonna be able to speak our we just gonna be able to speak the Lashawan Qadash amongst one another. Right? That's the whole point, right? So let's get right into it, right? So we got last week we talked about, this is the format of how you salute, right? So you do or how you check in, you do the salute, you state your name, who you are, your rank, and you know what I'm saying? The whole point, like, and again, all these words is words that we know. So we just gonna be putting it together, right? So we just gonna run through it, right? You start off with the salute, which we already put it in the chat in the Lashawan Qadash. Every class, every time we check in for a class, right? We just put it in, we just automatically put it in the chat in the Lashawan Qadash, right? I ain't gonna spend too much time on that. So you just put the salute, right? We salute. So you're a sister, right? If you're a sister or if you're a brother, right? You say Yahweh Shem Yahshua Brakathum, priest and officer. I'm gonna use myself for an example, right? a precinct officer 50 call Kazaa reporting checking in or reporting in from Killeen, Texas. All right, so we're gonna use that as a template, right? So we got priest and officer, right? These are again things that we already use. And if you got an answer, you know what I'm saying? Because this is real easy, so you should have an answer. If you got an answer at home, just go ahead and put it in the chat in the Lashawan Qadash. You know what I'm saying? If you got a keyboard, if you got a Lashawan Qadash keyboard and you want to put it in the chat with your Hebrew keyboard, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna take that extra initiative, extra step. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and do that. But if you want to put it in the phonetic English pronunciation, just put it in the chat, then that's fine too. But if you got an answer for, you know what I'm saying, how to do the salute in the Lashawan Qadash, put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Show that you here today. You know what I'm saying? We ain't go, let's not, just, you know what I'm saying, let's not, you know what I'm saying, we got 4 people on, you know what I'm saying? Let's not just sit here and lurk in the online, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna turn on, you know what I'm saying? We're not gonna turn on class and then check in and then go and turn Disney Plus on or nothing like that. Not what we're gonna do. Let's show, you know what I'm saying? Let's show that we got respect for the Lord, right? You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying, show that we here tonight. We got priest and officer, right? Priest and officer. We know both of these are just gonna be root words, right? Root words that we already know. And then this right here, we know that this is a preposition, right? You know what I'm saying? You got it right here, and you know what I'm saying? We're gonna translate and into Lashawan Qadash, so we're gonna translate it to the preposition, right? So we just gonna attach it to the root word. We got priest. We already know that and if you don't know how to before I give you the answer, if you don't know how to find the answer on your own, because it's gonna be words, you know what I'm saying? Just like any language, it's gonna be words that you don't know, right? And I'm you know what I'm saying, I'm stalling to give y'all some time to put it in the chat, right? So you know what I'm saying, do what you gotta do. But if you don't know how to find a word, you can use the resources that we have and your learning utensils and your learning tools and you know what I'm saying, the books that we use to study from and learn from. And if you don't know how to use any of these resources, then that could be a question that you ask in class tonight so that we can get it, you know what I'm saying, we can lay it down flat so that we all on the same page. But if you ever come up into you know what I'm saying, we say Yahweh Shemi Yahshua Barakathon, Yahweh Shema Lataba Shemi Yahshua all the time, all day. You know what I'm saying? We say priest and officer in the you know what I'm saying, in the, you know what I'm saying, when we talking to one another, or when we read in the what's that called? The prayer for the blessing, right? The prayer for the blessing also is a good tool that you can use to learn certain words or any of the prayer. But the prayer for the blessing has all of the words that we're gonna use tonight to be able to stay at our registry or check in for a class or stay at our registry during Sabbath service or whatever the case is, right? Prayer for the blessing, Barakatha Yahweh, Wa Yahweh Shai, Wa Mayaka Allah, Wa Alahayim, Wa Tazab Ya'ah, Tazab Ya'ah, Alawap Yahana, Wa Alawapyum, Wa Soranyum, Wa you got, you gonna give me Quatazayan. Quatazayan Yum. All right. And that's most time Christ, you know what I'm saying, you highlighted that because that's gonna be one of these words, right? You know what I'm saying? See, these brothers starting to, we got Quatazayan Yum, Wa Chayoyum, Wa Akwathian, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Tawada Amun, right? So it's the prayer for the blessing. It just goes rank in order. So all the entire rank structure is in that prayer. If it's not in Deuteronomy 1:15, it's in that prayer. So you put those two together, and then you remember the class from the order or the cardinal numbers, right? We counted from 1 to 100, right? We counted from 1 to 100, right? So if you put that together with the cardinal numbers, then you should be able to do a complete salute in the Lashawan Qadash. All right, I think I gave y'all enough time. Oh, you want to? Yeah, most time crazy. Let me get the water because I sure would like to get some water. Let me grab this bottom water. So you water. If you're watching online, you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta wait until you know what I'm saying. You ain't gotta wait until we get all the way through the whole thing. We gonna bust it down. So, but if you got an answer on the whole thing, you just put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? If you already, you know what I'm saying, if you already got it, just put it all in the chat and show that you're here tonight. Show that you participate.
All right, it is up, right?
Well, you see the chart at the top?
Oh. Yeah, all right.
And also while he's doing that too, it's also helpful to have you know what I'm saying, like practice your penmanship, right? Because you know what I'm saying, a lot of these characters are they're unfamiliar to us for obvious reasons, right? This culture was stolen from us. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to learn it back. These pen strokes is unfamiliar to our hands. You know what I'm saying? We've been water free. Hey, get your stuff ahead. We're gonna get right into it, right? We're gonna clean it up a little bit. But yeah, these pen strokes, you know what I'm saying, because we're not familiar with this language. Some of these characters might be familiar to us because a lot of them come from, or a lot of the English alphabet comes from the Hebrew, all right? So a lot of them look like the English alphabet, especially in the ancient. But some of these, especially in the Assyrian or the Assyrian Hebrew or the modern Hebrew, they some of these characters might be a little uncomfortable to write, right? So it's good to just practice and get familiar so that you can be just as fluent in writing the Lashawan Qadash as you are in English, right? And not to mention you writing, you know what I'm saying, your oppressor writes backwards. You know what I'm saying? They write left for right, where the language that the Most High gave us is written from right to left, right? So we used to writing backwards all our lives. It seemed, you know what I'm saying, it seemed like when we write the Lashawan Qadash, it looked like we're writing the Lashawan Qadash backwards. So because we so used to this backwards as handwriting, our handwriting seems unnatural, right? So we just need to, you know what I'm saying, take a couple minutes out of our day and just write the Lashawan Qadash alphabet a couple times. Maybe again, it won't take nothing more than about 5-10 minutes out of your day. You know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, you might take 10 minutes to I know you know what I'm saying, we spend hours, you know what I'm saying, binge watching movies and TV shows and you know what I'm saying, doing all sorts of nonsense. You know what I'm saying? We can take 10 minutes out of our day to practice our cultures, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You take more than 10 minutes to get your outfit together, you know what I'm saying, when you want to impress some ladies, when you want to impress some women, you know and sisters, especially when you want to, you know what I'm saying, impress one another, you know what I'm saying, one up one another, or you want to impress some dude, you know what I'm saying, you spending more than 10 minutes in the mirror, you know what I'm saying, beating your face up with the makeup. Ain't nothing wrong with makeup, but you spending that take more than 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? You in that mug for hours getting dolled up for your husband, or you know what I'm saying, if you're a single sister. Right? All right. So you can spend, if you can spend hours doing little frivolous things, then you can spend 5 to 10 minutes on learning your culture, right? So, you know what I'm saying? Learn, you know what I'm saying? Do the alphabet, practice your penmanship, right? And then it'll be comfortable to you. All right. So what the priest put up here, for the most part, is correct, right? Most time, crack the water again for your participation, priest. All right. We're gonna see what we got here. Let me see where you at with this. So I see you got the. I'm gonna just write up underneath where you wrote, right? You got priest and officer, right? Again, going right to left. So you say Kahan, right? And remember, and most time Christ, the brother didn't forget, you know what I'm saying? But the brother been studying, the brother been in class, the brother been practicing. He remembered that at the end, the na changes to a different character. It's the same character, but it's a different writing when it comes at the end versus if it comes at the beginning or middle of a word. So you got Kahan, Wa, right? Now remember though, the Wa, when you got a preposition or a possessive, in this case we got a preposition. The preposition or possessive is always attached to the root word, right? Right. So and just bring it a little bit closer. And I'm sure that's what you meant, priest. But you know what I'm saying? And most high Christ for doing it the way you did it so that we can, you know what I'm saying, go word by word and understand, right? I'm just bringing it together. So we got okay, I see. Okay, I see what's going on. So instead of because this is what character is this? La'a. You got the sheet in front of you? What's this right here? Right, right. So instead of a tie, right? We'll do qua, right? That's what we're looking for right here. Qua, za, right? And this is a little funny one too. This za, you know what I'm saying? I know when I was practicing writing the Lashawan Qadash, I kind of got tripped up on writing the tza because it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? Like when you write the English alphabet, it might be a couple characters that you know what I'm saying is unfamiliar to our hands, right? So we might have is that where that charger at? Laptop about to die. So like 1 second, we'll be right back. In the meantime, you know what I'm saying? See if we can get the rest of this check-in. We shouldn't have to take because it's a couple different ways to check in that I want to cover. So we shouldn't, you know what I'm saying, we shouldn't take too long, you know what I'm saying, on we shouldn't have to take too long on the first couple you know what I'm saying, on getting this down. Right. Are we good? Yeah, we in there. All right. But when you write in English, right, it might be some characters that might be a little bit difficult for you to like when you write in a Y, for example, you might be like, you might write it funny, right? Or you might, you don't know how to get it, or you might overextend your, you know what I'm saying? You might have a hard time getting it initially. But you know what I'm saying, when we was in kindergarten, they had the books where you would write the character, right? Or you would have a character with a dotted line, and then on the side it'll have like an arrow of how to guide your pen stroke, right? So it'll be like, it'll be the letter, right? Maybe with some dotted lines, and then you'll have on the side something that look like this. So you start from here, make that diagonal, and then you finish and connect it here, right? It might look like that to help you get a rhythm, right? Same with the Lashawan Qadash. Like when you write in the Tazah, just to you know what I'm saying, you this is just the way that I found was the easiest, right? For me, right? So it might be, you make like a shape over here, right? Let look like that. Like you might have to practice something like this, right? A little downward slope, and then you come around to create the base of it, and then you add a line going up right there, right? But that might be the most, I think, out of all of them, or you know what I'm saying? A couple of them might be complicated for us because it's new, but this might be one of the more complicated ones. So just a guide. And if you got to take a screenshot of this, you know what I'm saying, or you got to write it down in your notes somewhere, you know what I'm saying, of how to do that, you know what I'm saying, if it'll be helpful for you, I recommend doing that, right? And I promise you, it'll help with your fluency, right? So you got Kwa, Tza, right? You know what I'm saying? If you're watching at home or whatever the case is, you can pause it, rewind it, take a screenshot. You know what I'm saying? That's the benefit of watching at home. Take a picture, write it down in your notes, whatever you got to do, right? If you're in class, you can take a picture, write it down in your notes. But so we got Kwa, Za. Next is, wait a minute. Okay, I see what you did. I see what you did. So we got Kwa Kaza. What's this, a za right here? Okay. So it's a, instead of it being a ta and a za, it's a za. Yeah. Yeah. So we got Kwa, Kaza, and then we got the ya and the na at the end here. Yeah. And again, we got that same na we saw in Kahan, right? So we got Kahan Wakwata Zayan, right? That's how you would say it in the Lashawan Qadash. All right. So we got priest and officer. So we're gonna write it in the English, or we're gonna write it in the Lashawan Qadash, Salakia up top, right? So we got Shalom, Yahabashim Yashar Brakathon, Kahan, Kwatazayan. All right. Get rid of this in the English, and I'm gonna leave the Lashawan Qadash up to do the salute. Kahan, Shalom, Yahabashim Yashar Brakathon, Kahan, Wakwatazayan, officer, priest and officer 50 or of 50, right? If you want to, just for practice, you know what I'm saying, just to practice, we're gonna do of 50, right? We're gonna do every, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna like Yashikar said, you're gonna speak like a gringo today, just so we could get the practice, right? You know what I'm saying? Now we know as brothers, you know what I'm saying, we don't talk like our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? We just get straight to the point. You know what I'm saying? We might drop off certain words that they feel, you know what I'm saying? We might drop off the filler words, which is what the Lashawan Qadash does. But just so we can practice, get that practice in, we're going to, just so we can get that practice, we're going to use the filler words. So we got Kahan Wakwata Zayan of 50, right? So we're gonna start with the root word. So we got 50. We remember what 50 is. Again, if you're online, you know what I'm saying, you go ahead and participate, put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? If you got what the word for 50 is, right? And it's in the you got a cheat sheet. You got a cheat sheet in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15. You got a cheat sheet in you know what I'm saying, if you got an online Bible, right? You can just look up the word 50. You can type in the word 50 and then go to that scripture or find out what scripture has the word 50 in it. And then take that scripture, open up your Bible Hub, which we're going to use tomorrow for Sabbath service. Open up your Bible Hub, go to that scripture that has the word 50 in it, and then scroll through that chapter and verse to get that word. And it'll tell you what the word for 50 is. Or you can use, I see you, priest. Or you can use what's it called? Two-letter lookup, right? And then reverse search. Instead of typing, you know what I'm saying, you can type in the Hebrew characters and it'll give you the definition of that Hebrew word. Or you can reverse search and type in the English word and it'll give you the Hebrew. Same with the concordance. You can look up the word 50 in your concordance in the beginning of the concordance. And then once you find that word, it'll give you a concordance code with that word. And then you go to the back of the concordance, to the Hebrew section, follow that concordance code, and it'll give you a word for 50. It's several different sources that you can use to get the same result, all right? So I'm just letting you know what I'm saying? You had an answer, priest?
Yeah.
You wanna come up here and do it, or you can walk? Okay, no sweat. No sweat. Hamashium. Most High in Christ. Damn right. So you got Hamashium, right? Hamashium, which is 50. So we got ha. Make sure you get that ha. You know what I'm saying? Again, you can spend 5, you know what I'm saying? You can spend 2 minutes just saying ha. Practicing getting that sound so that you don't mix up a ha with a ka or a ha with a ha. Right? Practice getting that sound down. And also practice writing the ka, because a ha looks a lot like a ha, just like it sounds like ha, right? So you don't want to confuse that. And I see brothers get tripped up a lot during Sabbath service when they see ha or ha's, and they kind of mix up the two. Right, and the tha too. The water priest. So they look familiar. So what I would do is make sure you are able to distinguish between these. You know what I'm saying? Take a couple minutes out of your day and get it in your memory of how to distinguish between these. You know what I'm saying? You could just open up the scriptures, open up Bible Hub. You don't have to wait until Saturday to open up Bible Hub and read these scriptures in the Hebrew. You can just do it and get that muscle memory of reading the Lashawan Qadash, right? So just a couple things to think about as we're going through this. All right, so we got Hamashium. So you want to walk us through how to spell Hamashium? So you got the ha, right? Right. So we got the ka. Right. Ma. Remember, it's going to be this ma instead of the one that comes at the end, right? Sa, ma, sha. Oh, wait, let me scoot this over right quick and run out of room. Ma, sha. And you said what after the sha? Ya. And the ma, right? And the in ma, like the priest said, right? Because he been studying, he been in class. You know what I'm saying? That's what happens when you hear and you participate, right? Certain things just stand out to you. So instead of putting this ma, we know that you have to use this ma because it comes at the end, right? Yeah. Kahan Wakwata Zayan, Now we got chamashim, which means 50, right? We got chamashim, which means 50. Now, how do you say of 50? Or, okay, well, we're going to start off with this. How do you say of 50, right? Officer of 50, right? Just for practice, right? We got the root word chamash, which is 50. How would you say of 50? All right. And anybody in the chat can answer these questions too. You know what I'm saying? What you got, Priest? Ma, correct. We got ma chamashim. Right? Right? Ma chamashim of 50. Or in its proper context, because ma means of or from. So we're not saying, and you're right, but just for practical, we just, you know what I'm saying, we just practicing, right? But in practical usage, ma means from or of. So you wouldn't say from 50, priest and officer from 50. So ma wouldn't be quite as practical, but in its proper context, you're a fifth, if you're an officer of 50, then what does that mean? Right. What does your rank mean? If you're an officer of 50, then what's the significance of the 50? Say that again. You're over 50. So now we're going, instead of using ma, just so we can be a little bit more succinct and practical, right? Say that again. I'll, right. Yahweh Shamar, I'll Most High, watch over you, right? So the word I'll means over, right? We just using what we already know to learn something new, right? So, and how you spell that? Right. I and La. Okay. And just like the priest is doing, right? He's like we can get kind of comfortable with writing the Hebrew in English. That's not Lashawan Qadash. We don't want to bastardize or heathenize our language. So just like you know what I'm saying, Kahan, we might check in like this, right? If you got the zeal, or if you got the zeal to do it, you know what I'm saying? Just like we check in for class, we say Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shah Barakathum, but we write it in English. So this is Hebrew, but these are English characters. This is just the pronunciation. So this is the phonetic sound that this character makes, and so on. Ha, na, right? It's just the pronunciation, just like you'll see in a dictionary, right? You see a word and it'll have the dramatic spelling underneath so that you can know how to pronounce it, but that's not how you spell that word, right? Same with the Hebrew. So you don't spell I and L. That's not how you spell it because it's not English. You don't want to heathenize our language. You spell I'll with an I and a La. All right. So, you know what I'm saying? So when we checking in, we'll probably just for, you know what I'm saying, practical usage, you know what I'm saying, for everyday usage, we're not going to say Kahan, Wakwata, Zayan, Al, Kamashim. We're not going to do that. We're going to say Kahan, Wakwata, Zayan, Kamashim. Because we don't use these filler words. But just for practice, you know what I'm saying, it's good to just use it and understand it, what these things mean, right? So we got right. We got Kahan Wakwata Zayan Al Kamashim, priest and officer over 50, right? So what's the rest of it, right? And we're gonna walk it down, right? Checking in from maybe got city, state. Or where you live. I'm just gonna put that. Right, so this is all we need, right? So we got Kahan Wakwata Zayan Al Hamashim. Now we just gotta find these, right? Now this might be where you gotta apply some diligence, some care, right? Some zeal to get this oppressor's dirty, filthy language out of your mouth, right? So how do you say checking in, right? So checking in is synonymous with, because this is an army, remember. And if you got the answer, you know what I'm saying, as I'm giving this hint, put it in the chat, right? This is an army, right? This is a military structure, right? You know what I'm saying? Is rank and order, you know what I'm saying? So we say checking in, but checking in is synonymous with what? Remember, this is a military structure, right? That's being set up. This is an order structure, right? So being a militant people, because the Most High is a man of war, being a militant people by nature, right? Instead of checking in, because you don't check in at your slavery. You know what I'm saying? Just like you don't go to your slavery and clock in and then go turn on Disney Plus, right? You don't check in for work, right? Exactly. I'm right. Report. Right? So now you have to ask, well, how do we say report? All right. Well, I'm going to ask you, how do you find out? Right? How do you find out how to say report? Right? I just went over it. Right? That's one way. So let's go to two-letter lookup real quick. Just because you gave that example. Right? And let's make a liar out of me. Let's see if I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. You got okay, multi-correct. Water. All right. You got it? One second, bear with me. And while we taking this little brief break, if you're online, you know what I'm saying, you can be putting it in the chat or telling me, you know what I'm saying, show me, because you know what I'm saying, show me, you know what I'm saying, how we gonna use these resources. The brother already said you can go to two-letter lookup. All right, so he already gave you the answer. So if you want to use the resources and find out the answer, right? The resource that he just gave you. If you want to do that, then you know what I'm saying, you should be able to put an answer in the chat. Also, we went over a couple. We just went over a couple different resources that you can use, right? We went over a couple different resources. You can go ahead, just sit on the left side over here. Yeah, on this side. Or we went over a couple different resources too, right? So we got the brother just said the two-letter lookup, right? We're gonna use that, but it's a couple different ways that you could do it too. All right. And you should also have the like two-letter lookup is an easy way to do it. You know what I'm saying? It's a real fast way to do it if you want to just learn how to learn a word quick. So especially if you just learning the Lashawan Qadash, I recommend having access to two-letter lookup. Saying it should be real easy. You can just get online, put it in your search bar, two-letter lookup, and then boom, you got a resource that you can use to learn the Lashawan Qadash, right? But you know what I'm saying, the internet ain't always gonna be here because this kingdom is gonna fall. You know what I'm saying? And inevitably, when it falls, that means everything that comes with this kingdom is gonna fall also. So it's internet, you know what I'm saying, cell phones, all of that's gonna fall. All you're gonna have is, you know what I'm saying, what you write down, right? And what you able to physically carry, right? So you should also have the resources, the hardback or paperback concordance. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you get your hands on. You should have the a Torah if you can get your hands on it to be able to skim through the Lashawan Qadash, right? Right? It's just good to have. You should know how to use these tools too. But we gonna, since the brother brought out two-letter lookup, we just gonna go with two-letter lookup. All right, so we trying to figure out how to say checking in, or according to the scriptures, it'll be report, right? You know what I'm saying? Because this again is a military structure. So we don't check in, we report, right? So report. And also, we're gonna get to that. So what you want to do is you want to once you're in two-letter lookup, right? There's in the top left corner, right? It'll have a box that says words that start with, and then you could type the Hebrew characters. And underneath there's another box. It says or means, and in that other box you can type in the English and reverse search. So in that second box, we're gonna type in report, right? Because that's what we're looking for. And see what we come up with. Report. There we go. More the book. No. All right. And before I give it to you, right, I just want to point this out also. When you're looking at the Lashawan Qadash, right, you want to compare, just like you do with anything. Like when you're doing research with anything, you're trying to find out new information. You don't want to just go with the first resource that you know what I'm saying, that you find, right? Or the first answer that you find. Especially with how saturated with the internet is with, you know what I'm saying, lies and, you know what I'm saying, garbage. So it's good to be able to compare resources as well. So, right. So we got a two-letter lookup, and you got two-letter lookup pulled up. All right. So while you looking at that, I'm gonna go into the scriptures, right, and use another way. So we got two-letter lookup. That's a quick and easy way. Another way is to, like we discussed earlier, you can go into the scriptures. If you got a Bible app on your phone, you can go into your Bible app, look up the word that you want to find out in the Lashawan Qadash, right? So we're looking for the word report, right? You're looking for the word report. And then you go into, what'd you say? Okay, no sweat. Close. Okay, so you got Mashemai. Well, what does it say? A report. All right. So when you so that's close, very close. So but it's a report. We're looking for a report, right? So how would you said Mashemai. Let me keep up with you. You got Ma, all right? You spell it Mashemai. How you spell Mashemai? And what up? And I. Right. Masha, Ma, and I. Right. So that's a report, right? So this is a word with a preposition on it. So we know that Ma is a preposition right here that means of or from, right? Huh? Come, come. So you remove the preposition and get the root word, and we know that shamai means what? Right. Listen here, right? And if you're listening and hearing, the only way you're able to give a report is if you're listening and hearing, because you report on what you saw, listened to, and heard, right? So the root word shema, right? Right. So the word report is built off of the same word that means to hear or to listen, right? So now we got instead of checking in, we got reporting, right? So we got the root word that means report, right? Let's lock in. So we got the root word that means report, right? Or report. So how do we turn report into reporting? Right? To make it an action, to give a hint. If you want to, if you're in the chat, right? If you're online, you might put it in the chat, right? So Shema is the root word, it's the verb, which means to report. Now reporting, right? It's talking about what we're doing. How do you imply a doing context, right? It's a little review. It goes from Shema, huh? I see where you're going though. So how first before you give the answer, how do you turn a verb into a doing tense, or how do you turn a word into a doing tense? What do you got to add or take away or change about the word? That's what. That's what. So we got okay. So we got Lashawan is tongue, or I'm gonna use this. Shamar is watch. How do you say watching? La. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. One at the end of a word. It just turns a word into a proper noun, right? So you want to take another shot, or you want me to give it to you? I got you. If you get it before I finish writing it, to come to you, you can just say it. Uh, so Shemai is report. Shawamai. You add the wa in the middle of the word to make it a doing tense. Like Lashun, tongue, Lashawan. Now we're talking about what the tongue is doing. It's speaking a language. So Shamai, Shawamai makes it reporting, right? We got so now we got Kahan, priest, Wa Kwakazayan, and officer, right? Al Hamashim, over 50. Kahan, Wa Kwakazayan, Al Hamashim, priest and officer over 50, reporting, right? So now we got this last part, right? Now you're reporting what? You're reporting to class or to Sabbath service or what, or to what is it? What is it? Council, right? You're reporting to council from, right, where you live, right? So we know the word from is what? Right. So preposition ma, meaning from. over from, right? So now we got that down. Now all we got to do is how to say where you live, right? Now remember, when we looking into like, because we kind of modernize English, right? After we learn, you know what I'm saying, after we learn English, we kind of modernized it over time. So in, you know what I'm saying, live in English has different meanings, has different words, and or has different meanings, has different depending on the context, right? But in the Bible, you might see a different word that means live, right? Or you might see a different word. So especially when you're using the method that I use, like you look up the word, that you want to find out, and then go and reverse search it in Bible Hub. You want to keep in mind what word is going to be used in the scriptures, right? So you got, instead of live, you're probably going to see something like this. Dwell, right? Right. We're going to see what that word is. And again, if you got the answer in the chat, you go ahead and put it in the chat, right? You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to wait on me. All right. Right. And the word for dwell in the scriptures is Zabal. Right. So we got Zabal. The root word is Zabal, right? And as let me scoot this over a little bit. The root word is Zabal, right? And like we talked about earlier, we're just going to add the preposition, right? Ma, all right? So live or from, right, is going to be Zabal by itself, or Salakia. Live, or your city that you living in, that you're checking in from, is going to be Zabal, meaning where you dwell, where you live, right? Zabal, right? And just a sidebar, this is where the name Zabalawan, the tribe of Zebulon, right? That's where the name comes from, and you'll see that in Genesis chapter 49, right? But that's where this word comes from, dwell, right? All right. Zabalawan, as we just talked about earlier, right? So that one suffix, right? That one suffix just means that whatever this is attached to is now making this a proper noun, right? So now a proper noun, as we know in English, is a person, place, a thing. So that one just makes Zabal a proper noun. So now somebody's name, Zabalawan, right? Which means to dwell, right? And that comes from, you know what I'm saying, Jacob's wives, right? Rachel and Leah, they were fighting over their husband, you know what I'm saying, their husband's attention, right? As you know what I'm saying, that's, you know, we're not surprised, right? So Zabal, can't remember which sister had the child Zabalawan, but basically she was thinking, if I have this man's child, then he'll want to dwell with me. So she had a son and named him Zabalawan because of that thinking, right? Because she wanted her husband to dwell with him. So that's where that comes from, Zabalawan, right? From the root word Zabal. So now we got the complete check-in, right? We got the complete check-in right here. So you do the salute, Shalom, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shah, Barakathum, Kahan, Wakwata Zayan, Al Kamashim, Shawamai, Mazabal, right? Priest and officer over 50 reporting from, and then from where you live, right? And you would just put your city, right? We're in Killeen, Texas. So you check in, well, I personally check in the Lashawan Qadash, Kahan Wakwata Zayan Al Hamashim Shawamai Mazabal, Killeen, Texas, right? I'll be the zone that I report from, right? That's the complete salute. If you you know what I'm saying, if you're a priest and officer, I suggest, you know what I'm saying it to yourself, writing it down, and getting used to speaking the language and checking in the Lashawan Qadash, right? You know what I'm saying? Showing that initiative that you want to get this oppressive language out of our mouths and learn our language, the Lashawan Qadash, or the Holy Tongue, right? Right, the language that the Lord gave us. So Kahan, priest, Wa Kwatazayan, and officer, Al Hamashim, over 50, Shawamai, reporting, Ma or Mazabal, from where you live, right? Zabal meaning live or dwell in the scriptures, and then your city or state, right? Right. That's for an officer of 50, right? So Qatazayan al Hamashim, officer of 50. Now, because in Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 15, it says officers over, or captains over 50s, captains over 10s, captains over 50s, captains over hundreds, thousands, so on and so forth, right? So we got say for example, so now we got officer of 50. Now the next rank up is officer of 500, right? So, right. So if you're an officer of 500, right? Or actually, you know what? We're gonna come right back to that, right? So that's for the men, right? Kahan Wakwata Zayan Al Kamashim Shawamai Ma Zabal, Killeen, Texas, right? Priest and officer 50, reporting from Killeen, Texas. That's how you would check in. Now for the sisters, it's a little bit different, right? You got to add a little bit, right? So you do the sister salute instead of saying Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah Barakathum, right? Instead of doing a salute that those brothers do, you would say Yahweh Shamar Alathun, right? You're talking to a plural, right? If you're watching at home, you know what I'm saying? You can pause, rewind, take a screenshot, take a picture as you need to. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of this, right? All right, so you got Yahweh Shamar Alathun by Hashem Yahweh Shai, right? That's how the sisters will salute, right? Yahweh Shamar Alathun by Hashem Yahweh Shai. You would say, now if you're an unmarried sister, right? You would just say, you would just say your name, right? Or you would just say sister such and such. So now we gotta, okay, so if you're an unmarried sister, right? You say sister, or just your name, right? If you're a married sister, you would say, you would acknowledge your husband, right? All right. So biblically, you possession of, or wife of, or, you know what I'm saying? Just to acknowledge your husband. All right. And then the officer, you know what I'm saying, who your husband is, or the priest, or the trooper, or whoever the case is, you'll acknowledge your husband, sister, of possession of such and such, right? Reporting in, right? So we already got reporting in. We got Shawamai, right? Reporting from Mazabal, right? From, and then wherever you live, all right? So you say your name, right? Or whatever we're gonna use, you know what I'm saying? Whatever your name is, right? So now we got to find out how to say sister, right? Right. This should be you know what I'm saying? This is something that we went over we go over often. We use it often with one another, right? Especially amongst the brothers. Amongst the brothers, we say brother and sister often, right? So the word for brother will be, I know you know this already, Priest, right? You got the word for brother will be ak, right? So the word for brother, ak. So now you have to make this, what's going on? No. So that would be well, yeah, Arabic, right? So yeah, that's a language that came from our language. So they took our language and kind of did their own thing with it. So, but that was a excellent observation, brother. We got ak, right? So now we talk. So this is the word for brother. Now we want to get the word for sister. The word for brother comes from the word, or the word for sister is built off of the word brother. You would just have to add a suffix, right? So what we like you see on this board, right? We got a list of prepositions, which is things that we attach to a root word to, you know what I'm saying, apply these things that you see here, right? And then you got possessives that come after a root word to imply that something, you know what I'm saying, uh, basically who is in possession of that root word, or, you know what I'm saying, to imply something is being possessed by something. So me, my, you, your, his, it, her, things like that. You'll see that here. If you don't see any of these, you might see what we call tenses, right? So you got a plural tense, a singular tense. You have a doing tense, which you will see in English will be ing. It's the same thing in the Hebrew, or the Lashawan Qadash, right? Or you have a what you would understand in English, a feminine tense, right? Just for understanding purpose, we're gonna stick with that feminine tense. So what we got to do is turn ak feminine, right? And how you would do that, instead of saying ak, which would be masculine, which would be brother, you would say ak. It would be ak wat, right? Let me scoot this over a little bit, right? So we got ak. What's good? You got a question? I got you. I mean, I'm gonna break that down just a second. And that's what the brother was just asking about, right? So in the Arabic culture, right? They speak a language that's similar to the Hebrew, because biblically, who was it? Ishmael was right. Ishmael is the progenitor of the Arabs, right? That was Isaac's brother, right? But Isaac was the one that the Most High chose, right? So our culture is passed down through Isaac. So we speak the Hebrew, and Ishmael is the brother of Isaac, but he didn't get the covenant, you know what I'm saying, by the Most High choosing him, right? So he speaks a similar language, but it's, you know what I'm saying, it's not the Lashon Kodash. It's what we know now is modern day Hebrew, or Salakia, excuse me. It's modern day Arabic, right? Which will be what the Muslims speak, their culture, right? So that's where that comes from. That makes sense? All right, but it's very similar. So instead of what'd you say, Akoti or Aki, or right? So what Akoti would be sister, right? In the Arabic, right? Instead of that, it will be Wath, Wath, right? And that's another thing in Yiddish too. They'll add, like in the Lashon Kodash, or the Holy Tongue, or the Hebrew. That's how you say Hebrew in Hebrew, Lashawan Kodash, or Holy Tongue, right? In the Hebrew, there are no vowels, right? there are no vowels, only consonants, right? So when you look at that's an easy way to distinguish between these heathen languages or these languages that come from different nations. So you got like occulti, right? Or aki, right? There's no E sound, there's no O sound in the Lashawan Qadash. It's Abagada Hawaza, Kata Yaka, Lamanasa I, Patazakwa. And you keep coming to class, brother. You're gonna be speaking, you know what I'm saying? Most high first. Most high, hey, give yourselves a hand. All right. But when you learning the Lashawan Qadash, especially since we got an oppressor, you know what I'm saying, putting on our culture. Like Deuteronomy or it's like Revelations 3 and 9, Revelations 2 and 9 say we know them that are or who say they are Jews and are not. Meaning we have you know what I'm saying, we have an oppressor putting on our culture and calling themselves Jewish, which is like that of a Jew. But we know that the Jews are black according to the Bible. So because we got these heathens in our, you know what I'm saying, putting on our culture like it's theirs, they got, you know what I'm saying? Let me read this for you real quick. Now, this is the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, right? So this is from Yale scholars, right? Who all, you know what I'm saying, they studied. Oh, this is I'm sure these are, I think it's a couple authors. So I think a couple of these are white men, a couple of them are black men. But the point is, because we're saying the same thing, the Jews are black, the Bible's saying the same thing, the Jews are black, and even white men and white women are saying the Jews are black. They're in accordance. The Jewish man is, you know what I'm saying? Like if I say your shirt is blackish, that means it's kind of black, but it's not quite black, right? So they're Jewish. They pretend to be Jews, but they not Jews. So that's what we Jews. Like you would consider yourself a black man, right? So you would be from the tribe of Judah. That's where Jew comes from. It's slang for Judah, right? And the Jews or the tribe of Judah, they're black men. They're dark-skinned people who are oppressors in a derogatory way called us black. But they're black. You know what I'm saying? They're described with black skin, woolly hair. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't no way these stringy hair, blonde hair, blue-eyed, pale-skinned devils, ain't no way they the Jews because the Bible describes them as black. So point is, right, a couple of these oppressors, you know what I'm saying? These Yale scholars, right, which is, we already know is a predominantly white school, right? So white college university, right? They're on accordance that even the Yiddish that they speak in their synagogues, right, or in their schools, right, in their culture or their bastardized version of our culture, their Yiddish isn't even the correct Hebrew or the Lashawan Qadash, the holy tongue, right? It says right here, right? It says the Hebrew alphabet. So this right here, Abagada Hawazachata Yaka, so on and so forth, is the oldest in the world, still in use today, right? So they still use our alphabet today, right? But it's the oldest in the world. So people like to say, you know what I'm saying, there's language, you know what I'm saying, it's not the oldest language. It says it right here, it's the oldest language, right? Archaeology will tell you the same thing. And it says our own alphabet is a descendant of it by a circuitous route, meaning the alphabet that they use today, the fake Jewish man, what they use is a descendant of the Hebrew, the Lashawan Qadash. It's a descendant of it, right? Right. So it's not the original thing. It's just it derives from it. Just like we was talking about the Arabic. This descends from the Hebrew, right? The text of the Hebrew Bible we use today reflects several periods of development. You know what I'm saying? I just broke that down. It just reflects several periods of how they impeded their culture on what was already established by the Most High, right? Originally, only the consonants were used. That's what it says right here. Originally, only the consonants were used. By the time of the Israelite kingdoms, some consonants So they use, for example, the ha, which was the ha, the wa, and the ya were used to indicate certain vowels. So basically what this is saying is over time, because they had a European language, right? They had their own language. And our language didn't quite fit in their mouths, right? They couldn't pronounce abagada khata yaka lamana. They couldn't pronounce that. So
they wasn't real.
no, no. Yeah, absolutely. Right. So they hear our language, they had vowels and things, you know what I'm saying, certain sounds that we didn't use in our language. So what they did to our language was they would do something like this. Like you see these underneath, like on this textbook, underneath it got like step over here. It got like these dots and dashes underneath. They added that. So instead of like for example, you know how to say peace? Yeah, yeah. How you right? Con, give yourself a hand, right? Right. So in the Hebrew, right, you would say Sha, La, and the Ma. That's just how you spell it. Put it together, Shalom, right? But what they did, right, was they added a vowel. So what do the you know what the oppressor says, the fake Jewish man says? Instead of Shalom, they say Shalom. Shalom. But remember what we just read, there are no vowels. So they just admitted when they say shalom, it's not real Hebrew because they just admitted that there are no vowels in the original language, which is the oldest language. So how you get shalom is they put something like this up underneath the wa, because this is a wa right here. So they put dashes up underneath with like dots or something like that. So now this Y is a O to them. That's how they had to add their European twist on our language. So instead of shalom, like the Lord intended, it's shalom. And that's also how you get like you might hear brothers, you know what I'm saying, with a hula hoop skirt, little tassels and around there. Yeah, that's not how you wear fringes, man. Fringes, I wish I had my own right now. Fringes go on the border of your garment, on a border of blue. A border is where two pieces of fabric meet. The bottom of your t-shirt is not a border. I see the other ones. Yeah. I wish I had an example for you, man. That's my bad. As a matter of fact, before we get up out of here, I'll show you. I got a jacket in the whip, but okay, got you. All right, yeah, we gonna wrap it up here in the. All right, we gonna wrap it up in a little bit so I can show you. You said 8:30 or? Okay, got you. Okay, no sweat. But if you keep coming around, you'll see it, a proper way to wear fringe. We our hours are right there on the glass door right there. So we got Monday. What's on Friday? Right. Yeah, man. We gonna be holding camp. We gonna do a street demonstration right off of what is that street right there? It's about a block. You'll hear it. If you yeah, down on King Street, right over there. It's about a block away. But yeah, that's where that came from. They just threw a vowel in our language so that they can, you know what I'm saying, be able to pronounce their word. And that's also that, and the reason why I brought up them brothers who wear the, you know what I'm saying, fringes where they're not supposed to be. You might hear them say shalawam. That's incorrect because that comes from what the oppressor did. Now they added a wa in the middle of shalom to make it shalom with the dots so that they can add a vowel. But we trying to, you know what I'm saying, us trying to get back to our language, we understand that there are no vowels. So they got that part right. So instead of saying shalom, they see shalom, and because this is actually a wa. But the only reason why this is here is because the oppressor. So it's Shalom is also incorrect too. So just so you know, but that's how that happened because they tampered with our language, right? So that's how you know it's not Aki. That's not. It's not Akoti. Yeah, it's Ak, and then Ak for brothers, and then Akwaf for sister, right? And now we're gonna before we wrap it up, right? You're gonna pluralize it because if you're talking about multiple sisters, right? Instead of Akwaf, you'll say Akwaf Yen, and you'll add a suffix, right, to make it plural. Yen is how you pluralize feminine, how you pluralize in a feminine text. Now, if you're talking about multiple brothers, instead you'll go from Ak, right? Go from Ak to Ak Yum. That's how you pluralize in a masculine tense, right? So you by yourself, you will be Ak. If you have multiple brothers, Ak Yum, right? Sister by itself is Akwaf. Sisters, Akwaf Yen. All right. All right. But with that, you know what I'm saying, we're gonna go ahead and salute out so y'all can get to where y'all need to be. That we got your card. We got it.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we gonna be we gonna do Sabbath service tomorrow morning at 12 o'clock from 12 to 2. And then afterward, we're gonna go over the next block and do our test speaking. With that, Shalom, Yahweh Shem Yah Shah Brakathum to all the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Shema Thumb by Shem Yah Shah to all the sisters. That's bro, no problem. Y'all enjoy y'all night. What can you do? Philip, yeah. Nice meeting you.